The Atlantic Ocean, 1944. For years, the U-boats of Nazi Germany have been the wolves of the deep, hunting in packs and strangling Allied supply lines. They are the terror of the seas, striking from the shadows and then vanishing. But on one summer day, the hunter was about to become the hunted. This is the story of a desperate, brutal, and controversial act of naval warfare. The story of when a British destroyer didn't just sink a U-boat, it decided to ram it. And in the churning wake of that collision, a moral dilemma was left bobbing in the water. The Allies have gained the upper hand. Improved sonar, long-range aircraft, and cracked German codes have turned the tide. One of the tools of this new offensive is the hunter-killer group. We focus on one such group, led by the British escort carrier HMS Tracker. Its protective screen includes the destroyer we're focusing on, HMS Bickerton. The Bickerton is a formidable ship, but her mission is primarily to protect the carrier. Her depth charges are her main weapon against submerged foes, but on the surface, her guns are king. Meanwhile, lurking beneath the waves is U-269, a Type 7C U-boat, commanded by Kapitän-Leutnant Karl-Heinz Marbach. It's on a standard patrol, but the waters have become incredibly dangerous. On July 25, 1944, the hunter-killer group gets a scent. A U-boat is detected. The alarm sounds, and the hunt begins. The Bickerton, along with other escorts, begins searching, their sonar pinging through the depths. They pinpoint U-269. The standard procedure is to keep your distance and pummel the submarine with depth charges, a deadly but relatively safe tactic for the surface ship. But U-269 is clever. It maneuvers, evades the initial attacks, and for a moment, it seems it might escape. Then, it makes a fateful decision. Perhaps to recharge its batteries or to get a better firing position, U-269 breaks the surface. It emerges from the waves, a gray beast exposed in the daylight, right in the midst of the British warships. On the bridge of the Bickerton, the captain sees his chance. A submerged U-boat is a target. A surfaced U-boat is a threat, but also a vulnerable one. In a split-second decision, he gives an order that harks back to the age of galleons and wooden warships. "Full ahead! Ram her!" The Bickerton's engines scream. The bow turns, aiming directly for the slender hull of the U-boat. For the German crew, the sight of this massive warship bearing down on them, its bow cutting through the water, must have been pure terror. There is no time to dive, no time to run. The impact is catastrophic. Thousands of tons of steel collide. The Bickerton's reinforced bow tears a massive gash in U-269's pressure hull. Seawater floods in instantly. The U-boat is doomed, and it begins to sink fast. As the U-boat slips beneath the waves, its crew scrambles for their lives. Men in heavy leather jackets and life vests spill into the cold Atlantic water. They are the enemy, the men who hours before would have torpedoed an Allied ship without a second thought. But now, they are just sailors, shipwrecked and facing a slow death by hypothermia or drowning. This is where the story takes its dark turn. The common narrative, supported by some accounts, is that the Bickerton and the other British ships simply left them there. They steamed away, leaving the German sailors to their fate. Why? The official reason was likely operational necessity. They were in active U-boat hunting grounds. Stopping a warship to pick up survivors makes it a stationary, vulnerable target for any other U-boats in the area. It was a harsh calculus of war. Risk one of our own ships and hundreds of our men to save a few dozen of the enemy? The order was given to proceed. But the story doesn't quite end there. While the initial decision was to leave, records suggest that a smaller escort vessel, the frigate HMS Goodson, may have later returned to the scene and picked up a handful of survivors. Some reports say only a few lived. Others say there were more. The exact number is lost to the fog of war. What is clear is that for many of U-269's crew, the ocean became their grave. The ramming of U-269 was a clear, brutal victory. But it came at a cost. The collision damaged the Bickerton's bow. Just 2 weeks later, while still on patrol, the damaged ship was itself torpedoed by another U-boat, U-354. The crew was forced to abandon ship, and the Bickerton was scuttled. In a bitter twist of fate, the hunters from the Bickerton now found themselves in the same cold water as the men they had fought.